What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about the topic of comparison and how lethal it can be to your life and in your business. I do want to preface this video with the fact that my dog is in the room and he may be making some noise in the background, so I do apologize for that. But outside of that, let's get right into it. So comparison actually is something that I struggle with a real lot personally myself. So it's one of the most, I guess, negative things that hold me back from me personally. So this episode is going to be something a little bit more personal and near and dear to my heart. So I'll go through what makes comparison so bad, and then I'll talk about the things that you can do to overcome comparison in your own life. So give you a couple of tips on how to improve yourself as well. So, and these are all things that I do for me in helping myself overcome this particular struggle as well. So the first thing is when you compare yourself, to others, you're comparing yourself like on social media today. And in 2020, we have social media. Everybody's got amazing things going on. People are traveling. People are making videos that look amazing. Their pictures look awesome. They only put good pictures up on Facebook or Instagram, and you only see the highlight reels. And what happens is you start to believe that everybody's got it going on. Everybody's got it going on except you, and everybody's got all their ducks in a row. Everybody's life is a highlight reel. Everything, like, these people don't have any lows in their life, and they don't struggle with anything. They just, the only thing they deal with is just life is just amazing all the time. And you start to believe it because that's the only thing that ever makes it to social media. You don't see the negativity. You don't really see the people out there that, they won't put up a bad picture of themselves. Nobody does that. So you start to you're comparing your everyday life with its normal ups and downs, which, by the way, that is normal. To have ups and downs is normal, to have both. But you're comparing your ups and your downs to someone whose life you believe is always up, which is impossible to have. So, nobody's life is on the high all the time. I mean, unless you're actually high. You have so here's the other thing is with comparison, like, even if it doesn't matter who you're comparing yourself to. So worst case scenario, maybe you're comparing yourself to a close friend of yours. People who are, if you're a comparative person, you will be most of the time you're probably a jealous person too. And you're jealous because you're comparing. You're looking at what someone else has on their plate and seeing how much in your, I guess, minimizing what's on your own instead of being thankful for what's on your own. And because that's something that really messed up my life at a point in my life. I was looking at everyone else's life and what all the blessings they all had in their lives, and then never took the time to look down at my own plate and realize how many blessings I had in my own life. And I wasn't showing gratitude for any of that stuff. So showing gratitude was something that learning to show more gratitude was, something that really helped, because then you don't get jealous, you don't get envious, you don't get critical, and that negative emotion goes away. In fact, it doesn't even matter after a while what anyone else does if you can manage to stop comparing yourself. So let's put it this way. So one of the things you got to imagine this way. So, like, when you're jealous, it doesn't make much sense to be jealous because, I mean, you're not writing the same story. Like, nobody's going to write your story better than you are. Like, imagine someone else trying to write Hamlet other than William Shakespeare. Like, it's going to be subpar because William Shakespeare, that's his stuff. That's his book. Like, no one else is going to write a better version of that or a lesser version of that because that's his stuff. Like, you got same thing for you. Your life is a story. Why would you ever want to write the same story as someone else? Like, okay, maybe you want to have similar results as certain people, and that's totally fine. But to write the exact same story, it serves no purpose. It's just, you are not meant to be a copy. So don't try to be a copy. You have originality and you make use of that. So like I said, you're not writing the same story. So don't try to write the same story. There's nothing to be jealous about when you think of it that way. So another thing that I would say is that, think of it this way, like, you're not running the same race. Like, people, you think, you might look at someone and, like, people will feel like a failure. Like they're running, you might be thinking you're running a 200 meter race or a 400 meter race, in track and field. You might be running a 200 meter or the 400 meter, but someone else is running the 100 meter. Of course they're going to finish first because they're running a shorter race. You're running a longer one. There's a different strategy for each race. Like you're never going to run a 400 meter race faster than someone else can run a 100 meter race. That's just never going to happen. So think of it this way, like, because you're not running the same race, think about this. Your starting point is not going to be the same. You might be more like me when I started. I didn't have any real estate connections. I didn't have any real estate experience. I didn't have anybody. I had nothing. I started with nothing. Whereas there are other people in the business. I mean, I know a lot of people at least in my market, that they grew up in a real estate family. I mean, I can think of 3 or 4 people right off the top of my head that grew up in a real estate family. They got their real estate license and then just started selling real estate and sold several million, maybe made like 200 to 500 million or $200 to $500,000 in their first year, just because they had a better starting point. Like I didn't have that starting point. Most people don't have that starting point, but look, don't get jealous of someone else who had that starting point. They had a better starting point, but their goals might be different. They might be starting closer to the finish line, to your finish line, but that might not be their finish line. Like what you're saying is like, basically they're closer to the finish line and they have to run a shorter race. But just don't know. Not only are the starting points different, but the finish lines are different too, not just the starting lines. So like their finish line might be pretty short. They might say, all right, I might just want to make money until I have $1 million in the bank. And if they're making $200,000 to $500,000 per year, to get to $1 million in the bank might take maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And that's it. That's it. They have a short-term goal. But maybe your goal might be to be the number 1 realtor in your entire area. Like that is not a 3 to 4 or 5 year thing. That takes a lot more time to build. Like, and maybe you want to sell 1 million homes as opposed to make $1 million. And that's a different story. Like that's way, way longer. So, like I said, the starting lines are different and the finish lines are different. You're not running the same race. So don't get all tied up in that whole race issue where people are comparing like, oh, well, he's got to run a shorter race. He started at a better point than me. And he's got, his mother is like the best realtor in the city. So he didn't have to do anything. Okay, good for him. A good quote was that God made the back for the burden. So everybody else has their own burden to bear. And, you were designed to write your own path because that's your path to run or your race to run. Don't get caught up in all of that. So, let me give you guys a couple of tips on what I use to overcome comparison. So what I did first was I unfollowed what made me feel bad. And what made me feel bad when I was struggling comparing myself is being on social media with Instagram and Facebook was seeing other realtors in my area who were just basically every time I saw a post was, oh, hey, look, a new project, 13 new listings. I'm like, great. I don't have 13 new listings, but this guy's got, he's only been in the business for 3 months and he's got 13 new construction listings. Like, what the heck is this? Like, and I'm like, who knows how he got that connection? Maybe he worked his butt off, or maybe he had a connection, or but the problem is I was comparing myself to that. Even though I had plenty of listings, I had plenty of sales going on at the time. I had, I was making plenty of money. I was, I had no debt. I had a beautiful wife and 2 awesome dogs, but I was not looking at any of that stuff. So what I had to do, I was looking at all the things that I didn't have, like 13 new construction listings or, $1 million income, or at the, and all this other crazy stuff that I didn't have at the time. So I was just like, how, when I unfollowed all of it, that's what I did first. I unfollowed everybody with a real estate license in my area. And I stopped seeing all of it. And I started to feel and see my self-esteem go up. Now here's the thing, you're like thinking, Steve, well, you're a real estate agent. You're supposed to be connected to the other realtors. Like, how, that's counterproductive to your job. It's like, well, actually not really. So, let's put it in today's world, people who are not my clients and people who are not licensed with real estate, with a real estate license, they can find plenty of information on the internet without, a real estate license. And they often find their homes before I can send them to them. So, I mean, it's not really that bad. If I really want to find new construction off market, I can make a phone call. And like, I don't really need to, I don't need to see it on social media in order for me to know about it. Like, there's plenty, I mean, realtors talk. We're salespeople. That's what we do. We talk, we socialize, we network. We find out about projects going on. Like, I don't need to be on social media to learn of new projects going on. So it never hurt my business at all. I never missed a beat. So anyway, so just unfollow what makes you feel bad. So if you think looking at beautiful women who have amazing bodies and you're someone who thinks they need to lose weight, well, if you think looking at beautiful women with amazing bodies hurts you, if that hurts you to compare yourself, then unfollow beautiful women who have amazing bodies. And that's, just get rid of it. Don't look at it. Focus on yourself instead. And that's what I do. Same thing with me in the real estate. So, like I said before, I'm acknowledged. One of the second thing I did was acknowledge that you're a one person. This is a one person race. This is you and your life, and that's it. That you don't have to worry about what else is going on. No one else is running your race. You're running the race. You're running it by yourself. You have your own starting line and your own finish line. That's it. Nobody else is in the race. Nobody else starts at the same place. Nobody else finishes at the same place. That's it. You and the man in the mirror is only thing that you've got going on. And that was another thing that really, really helped too. And when you think of it that way, when you think to yourself that you're not starting where everybody else started and you're not finishing where everyone else started, it really it takes a lot of the edge off. You start to see things totally differently. Here's a really, really important one. So it's, in the spirit of the new year too, this is a good one. So, have written specific and measurable goals that are meaningful to you. So what's cool about that is that, when you have, this kind of ties in with the last one too, which is ignore negative and what you should do comments. So the cool thing is when you have goals that are specific and measurable and most importantly, meaningful to you, when someone tells you something like, well, your goals you're silly, or, what you're doing is wrong. What you should do is this instead. And, I don't really like the fact that you're doing this. I think what you should do is this. And then you start to get, like, we real estate agents, we get distracted by a lot of things. We, get this bumblebee syndrome where we're trying to do all these different marketing ideas, always looking for the new things. And having a written goal is like, you can just be like, it doesn't matter what's going on. It doesn't matter what the economy's doing. It doesn't matter what's going on overseas. It doesn't matter what the realtor next to me in the office is saying to me. I have my goals. They're meaningful to me, and I'm going to execute on them. And that's it. That's all that matters. It keeps the blinders on so that you can just look straight and focus on what's in front of you. And you don't have to worry about all the noise on the outside of the blinders. And that really helps. So people without goals, they just get, basically you take the blinders off and now you can see everything. And now you're looking everywhere but straight. And even if you are looking straight, you're distracted by everything else going on. So having the written goals is like putting the blinders on. And then, ignoring the negative commentary is like putting like earplugs in. So if you have the earplugs in and the blinders on, the only thing you can do is see forward. You can't hear the noise outside. You're just going forward, and that's it. And that helps. It helps because you can't see what's going on the outside. Can't see visibly, or figuratively speaking. So I hope you guys found those tips a little bit useful. They helped me a lot in my life. Comparison was something that I really, really struggled with, still do to this day as well. But I've really gotten a grip on it, and I think it's been a lot better. So, like I said, I hope you guys have received a lot of good value out of that, and I will see you guys in the next episode.